All right. Ready to dive into the world of cruise ships.
Always ready to set sail.
I've got a stack of research here. Really got me fascinated by Taiwan's place in the whole picture.
Great time to be looking at this. Cruise industry, especially in Asia, it's changing fast, and Taiwan's right in the thick of it.
Yeah. What kind of stuff do we have to work with here?
Oh, we've got it all. Academic papers, industry reports, even some cool diagrams of port layouts.
I did see those diagrams. Before we get there, though, something that jumped out at me. These modern cruise ships, they're huge. One report called them floating resorts. Is that really true?
Yeah, it's a pretty accurate comparison. The thing about the cruise industry, what makes it so unique, is this blend of transportation and destination, right?
I see that.
These ships, they're not just getting you from A to B, they are the destination. Just like a resort, they've got to offer everything a traveler could want. Dining, entertainment, you name it. Activities, even shopping malls, all in one place.
And we're not talking about your average yacht here. Some of these ships are absolutely massive. One source actually compared their size to, like, famous landmarks.
Oh, it's true. And the trend is definitely leaning towards even bigger ships. Take, for example, Royal Caribbean's Icon of the Seas.
Okay.
This thing is over 198 feet long. That's longer than the Eiffel Tower if you were to lay it down.
Wow.
And with a capacity of over 7,600 passengers, you're basically talking about a floating city.
That's a lot of people to entertain on one ship.
Yeah.
Why build them so big, though? Is it just a case of bigger is better?
Well, there are some really interesting economic reasons for this shift in scale. Larger ships allow cruise lines to achieve what's called economies of scale, meaning they can actually offer lower ticket prices per passenger.
Oh, interesting.
But still maintain profitability. And it's not just about cramming in more cabins, these megaships. They just offer a much wider range of attractions, amenities, which makes them appealing to a broader customer base.
So it's like you get more bang for your buck,
Exactly.
which attracts more customers, making those bigger ships more profitable in the long run.
You got it.
Smart. It's not just about size, though, is it? It seems like the types of cruises being offered are changing, too.
Absolutely. There's a huge trend towards diversification in the industry. You've got everything from, luxury cruises catering to a high-end clientele, all the way to more adventurous expedition cruises exploring really remote destinations.
Yeah, like those APT cruises we talked about before, those smaller ships heading off to more adventurous locations.
Exactly. It's all about catering to a much broader range of traveler interests and demographics. And this diversification, it's happening alongside another major shift, the rise of Asian cruise tourism.
And that's where Taiwan comes in, right? The research, it had a lot to say about Taiwan's ports, especially Keelung and Kaohsiung.
Yeah, and for good reason. Ports are like the gateways to these cruise destinations, right?
Right.
They need to be more than just docking stations. They need to offer a seamless, appealing experience for passengers who, they're eager to explore.
I can see why those details are important. But what makes a port truly attractive to these cruise lines? Is it all about having enough space for those, like, mega ships that we've been talking about?
Space is definitely a factor, and we can totally dive into the specifics of that using those port diagrams you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
But it goes beyond just physical capacity. Cruise lines, they consider a whole bunch of factors when choosing a port.
Like what? Fill me in.
Well, they're looking for ports that offer this, compelling mix of attractions and experiences that align with their target audience. Think historical landmarks, natural beauty, cultural attractions, and of course, shopping and dining opportunities.
Of course.
They need to be able to offer this diverse menu of things for passengers to see and do once they step off the ship.
It's like creating a shore excursion buffet.
Exactly.
Something for everyone.
You got it.
So let's talk about how Taiwan's ports measure up. The research mentioned Keelung and Kaohsiung quite a bit. What are their strengths?
You're right. Those are the two big ones. Keelung up north, it's got that historical edge. It was a major trading hub way back in the Qing Dynasty.
Wow.
So it's got those layers of history that tourists really love.
Yeah.
Especially with it being so close to Taipei.
Right. So history buffs, they can get their fill.
Yep.
And then it's an easy hop over to the capital for something a little more modern.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What about Kaohsiung down south?
Kaohsiung, it's a powerhouse.
Okay.
Much larger capacity than Keelung,
Right.
which is really important when you're talking about those mega ships.
Right.
Plus, it's a gateway to a whole other side of Taiwan. You've got Sun Moon Lake Tainan, a totally different vibe.
More laid back.
Yeah, exactly.
You mentioned using those diagrams earlier.
Uh-huh.
Is now a good time to break those out?
Perfect timing.
I am curious to see how these these ports actually handle these massive ships?
All right, let's take a look at Keelung first.
Okay.
This diagram shows,
Yeah.
see this narrow channel here?
I do.
That is a major bottleneck for those larger vessels. You've got depth limitations, and maneuvering those big ships through there, it's no walk in the park, let me tell you.
Wow. So even with what you think is a naturally good harbor,
Right.
you've got to keep up with the times.
Yeah.
Literally making room for those mega ships.
Absolutely. That's one reason why Keelung has been investing in all those infrastructure upgrades.
Makes sense.
Got to accommodate those big ships and stay competitive.
Right.
Now let's look at Kaohsiung.
Okay.
Notice how much bigger the harbor is?
I do, yeah.
They've got these huge berths that can handle even the biggest cruise ships in the world.
Wow.
But even with that advantage, Kaohsiung isn't resting on its laurels.
Of course not.
They're constantly working to improve logistics, streamline operations, make it all smoother,
Right.
a better experience for the passengers and the cruise lines.
It's like a high-stakes game of Tetris.
Right.
Fitting those ships in.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, it's all about the people on board.
Absolutely.
What are those passengers looking for when they disembark in Taiwan?
Well, that brings us to a really fascinating part of all this, the demographics of cruise passengers,
Okay.
particularly in Asia. It's not just about Westerners looking for something exotic anymore.
Right.
It's a much more diverse picture now.
The research did mention different kinds of travelers.
Yeah.
European, Japanese, mainland Chinese, Southeast Asian,
Uh-huh.
even VIP travelers?
Right.
What kind of distinct preferences are we talking about here?
Well, for example, you've got the European traveler.
Okay.
Still interested in exotic locations, but often they come with this deeper appreciation for history and culture.
Right.
They're the ones who might be captivated by Keelung's heritage or, the chance to visit a traditional tea house in a bustling city.
Yeah, so it's about offering them an experience that's authentic,
Yes.
but also lines up with their existing interests.
Exactly. Now contrast that with, say, the Japanese tourist.
Okay.
The research highlighted their meticulous planning,
Oh, yeah.
and they really want those unique experiences. They might be drawn to more niche itineraries, things focused on Taiwan's Japanese colonial past,
Oh, wow.
or showcasing traditional crafts and cuisine.
It's fascinating how that history adds another layer of appeal.
Definitely.
But what about mainland Chinese tourists?
Oh, yeah.
Their travel patterns have really exploded in recent years.
You're not kidding. They're a major force in the industry now.
Right.
And their preferences are pretty different.
Okay.
They tend to prioritize iconic landmarks.
Okay.
And, of course, shopping, huge part of the Chinese travel experience.
So for Taiwan, that might mean really showcasing those Instagram-worthy spots.
Yes.
Taipei 101, the National Palace Museum, those night markets.
You got it. But it's also about going beyond that superficial level
Oh,
and offering them a taste of authentic Taiwanese culture.
right.
It's about weaving those iconic landmarks together with experiences that highlight the island's unique character.
Yeah.
Maybe a calligraphy demonstration or a visit to a tea plantation.
So it's a balancing act.
Appealing to their existing interests, but also,
Broadening their horizons a bit.
Exactly.
Oh.
And let's not forget about Southeast Asian tourists,
Right.
given how close they are geographically.
Yeah.
And all the cultural similarities, they might have different expectations, different interests.
Absolutely.
Like what? Give me some examples.
We're talking about travelers from Thailand, Malaysia,
Yeah,
Vietnam.
right. Places with really rich cultures of their own.
Exact.
What are they looking for when they come to Taiwan?
Well, you've got a lot of shared culinary influences in that whole region.
Right.
So food tourism could be huge.
Okay.
And then there's Taiwan's natural beauty,
Yeah.
those lush mountains, the coastlines.
Makes sense.
It's a different kind of escape compared to some of those big Southeast Asian cities.
It's really interesting to see how each group has their own perspective.
It is.
But knowing this is one thing, how does Taiwan actually use it?
The million-dollar question, right?
Right.
One key takeaway from all this research is diversification.
Mm.
We talked about Kiel and Kaohsiung, but Taiwan has other ports
Right.
with a lot of untapped potential.
Taichung, Hualien, even those outer islands like Penghu.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Imagine a cruise itinerary that's not just one stop,
Okay.
but a whole journey along the coast.
Oh, wow.
You could start in the north, do the history in Keelung Sea, Taipei,
Yeah.
head south, maybe stop at Taichung Sea to Roko Gorge,
Right.
and then end with that island vibe in Penghu, total change of pace.
Like a sampler platter of Taiwanese experiences.
Exactly.
Hitting all the highlights.
You got it.
Wouldn't that be tough logistically, though?
Oh, absolutely.
Getting everyone where they need to go efficiently?
Yeah, the research really highlighted transportation as a key area for improvement.
Okay.
Investing in things like high-speed rail between ports and major attractions.
Yeah.
That would be huge.
Right?
Even just having good shuttle services within the cities.
Makes a big difference.
Huge difference.
And let's not forget something essential for any traveler.
What's that?
Communication.
I imagine language barriers could be an issue for some visitors.
For sure. Multilingual signage, that's a must-have.
Yeah.
And not just at the tourist spots,
Right.
throughout the whole transportation system.
Okay.
Imagine having those digital displays at bus stops, train stations,
Yeah.
showing info in English, Japanese, Korean,
Right.
even simplified Chinese for those mainland tourists.
It's all about making it easy for everyone.
Exactly.
And what about technology?
Oh, yeah,
Those translation apps are a lifesaver for me when I travel.
totally. Imagine a dedicated app just for cruise passengers.
Okay.
Real-time translations, suggested itineraries, even a platform for booking tours.
Wow.
The whole experience from the second they get off the ship,
Yeah.
make it as smooth as possible.
It's like having a personal tour guide right in your pocket.
Exactly.
But beyond the practical stuff,
Uh-huh.
it's also about those special moments.
Yes.
The things people really remember about a trip.
Absolutely. You can't manufacture that. Taiwan needs to create those experiences that really resonate.
Okay.
We talked about Japanese tourists maybe interested in the island's history.
Yeah.
What if you had these immersive walking tours led by experts?
Okay.
Guide them through historic districts, let them try on traditional clothing, learn a craft.
Now that's experiential travel.
Right.
Bring that history to life, make it tangible.
Exactly. And for the foodies,
Oh, yeah.
Taiwanese cuisine is amazing.
So good.
Imagine food tours that go beyond the typical tourist traps.
Okay.
Small groups led by locals who are passionate about food.
Right.
Exploring those hidden gem restaurants, learning the stories behind the dishes.
Love it.
Maybe even some hands-on cooking classes.
My stomach is already rumbling.
Mine too.
The key takeaway, though, seems to be authenticity.
Yes.
Offering those genuine Taiwanese experiences, not just something made up for tourists.
100%. And that's something Taiwan has naturally.
Right.
That incredible blend of modern and traditional East meets West.
It's about packaging that in a way that's appealing.
Right.
And easy for all these different travelers to access.
Exactly.
It sounds like success in this industry really takes a village.
It does.
Ports, transportation, tourism boards, local businesses, everyone working together.
Absolutely. It's a team effort for sure.
Right.
But the potential is there. Taiwan could be a real powerhouse in Asian cruise tourism.
Yeah.
It's just about using those strengths strategically.
Well, there you have it, listeners.
We made it.
We've navigated the ins and outs of the cruise industry, explored the challenges and opportunities for Taiwan,
It's a big industry.
and how understanding all those different types of passengers is key to creating those unforgettable travel experiences.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
A huge thanks to our expert for guiding us on this deep dive.
Happy to be here.
And to you, our listeners, thanks for joining us.
Safe travels, everyone.
Until next time, happy travels.